fifth grade. Here are your notes for your compendium notes in your math notebook. So be sure that you are in your math notebook, okay? And you, at the beginning of our math notebook, we take our notes on our units. We are in Unit 2 decimals. We have 1 page or 2 pages of notes on decimals. Move on to the next page. We are still in Unit 2 decimals, but we're starting a new chapter. And this is going to be Chapter 3 multiplying. So in the corner, you're going to put a little heading, Chapter 3 multiplying. I'm going to have a couple colors with me. You might want to do the same. And you can pause me. I'm going to go ahead and maybe try a highlighter and a nice dark marker so you can see me. And I have just one more color I think I'll need. So I have 3 colors with me. This is going to be Chapter 3, but it's still Unit 2. Okay? Still Unit 2. All right. So now we are going to be multiplying decimals. So our header will be multiplying decimals. So go ahead and write these with me, please. Multiplying decimals. If I ever go too fast or you need more time, of course, pause me. Okay, multiplying decimals. So we're going to do, let's see, 4 sections here. The first section is going to be modeling. So let's write down modeling decimal multiplication. Decimal multiplication. This is a different concept that I ever had to do back when I was in 5th grade. So this was kind of a new concept. Maybe your parents haven't seen this either. So this is something new, but helps you visually see multiplication with decimals. So we're going to start off with our large square, which would be, the value would be 1 whole, okay? But we're going to have to draw it out and make it into 10 rows and 10 columns. So be neat about it. If you run out of room or something, and which happens to me often, I'll just add an extra row or column, whatever I need. So 1, going to draw 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oops, that's not enough, right? And I'm trying to make them even, so pretend that's even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make it a little bit wider. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to go across, and I definitely made this too small, but that's okay. Watch what I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means I have 6 so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need more. 7, 8. 9 and 10. All right, sorry, had to just get that all drawn out. So it's a 10 by 10 grid, which is going, the whole value is going to be considered 1.0, 1 whole. Okay. Make it as even as you can. All right, so there's my big grid. So make sure you have the same on yours. So this is, the value is 1.0. Every column is actually a tenth, so every column is at 0.1. Or you can even think of it as every row is 0.1, that 1/10. And then when you look at one little box inside, that's a hundredth, 0.01. So I want to model with you. Here's our example. Let's model. Example will be 8 hundredths times 3. And we're going to model what the product is going to be. So remember, when you're multiplying, these numbers here are called factors. Factor, factor. Let's figure out what the product would be. Factor, factor, product. So we're going to model 3 groups of 8 hundredths. Okay, 3 groups of 8 hundredths. So remember that 8 hundredths, every hundredth is just one of the squares. So we can start in any one corner. Out of my teacher manual, they actually happen to start down here in this corner, so I'll do the same. So we're going to do 3 groups of 800ths. So if I do 800ths, this is 100ths, 200ths, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one group of 800ths. I need to do that 3 times. So I'm going to do it again. 2. Okay, here's my second group of 800ths, and here's my third group of 800ths. Boom, done. It's modeled. 3 groups of 800ths. 1, 2, 3 groups of 800ths. So how many hundredths did we end up shading in? Well, you can do your quick little array. 1, 2, 3 times 8 is 24. So 24 hundredths is modeled here. That is the final product. So we're going to put 24 hundredths as the product. 0.24, 24 hundredths. Okay? So there's an example of a model. You will see this on your chapter. Oh man, this is chapter 4, you guys. Sorry. Chapter 4, my fault. Chapter 4, I apologize. Chapter 4 notes. So you will see an example like this on your pretest for chapter 4. Okay. Our next section on our notes is going to be multiplying by tens, hundreds of thousands. I know that you've practiced this a bit, so this might look familiar. It should look familiar. So multiplying by tens, hundreds, and thousands. Okay, so that'll be our next section. And so some examples are, let's try 62 hundredths times 10. And we'll write it horizontally because we can handle these horizontal because we know the trick, which is look at the factor of the 10 or the 100 or the thousands and count. How many zeros do you see in 10? Well, I see 1. I see 1 0. So I'm going to make 62 hundredths 10 times bigger and move the decimal 1 time to the right because it needs to get bigger. And I know it's only 1 because there's only 1 0. So I'm going to move the decimal 1 time to the right, and my final product will end up being 6 and 2 tenths. 6 and 2. That pen is not a great color. Let's find another one. All right. So 6 and 2 tenths. Now let's try another one. What if I did the same first factor of 62 hundredths, but then I multiplied it by 100? Okay, so remember how we do these? So same thing, I see that there are 2 zeros in 100. So I'm going to make 62 hundredths. I'm going to move the decimal twice, make it larger by moving the decimal 2 times to the right. 1, 2. So now it's going to go over here past the 2. So now my final answer is going to be the 62. I mean, I could put 0.0, but I don't really have to. And then what if we did 62 hundredths times 1,000? Well, we know that has 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3. So let's make 62 hundredths, move the decimal to the right 3 times, make it bigger. And so now it's not, it's going to go 1, 2, and then I have to open up a space. So when I have that open space, I can add that 0 in there. So 620 or 620.0, but you don't have to. So multiplying by tens, hundreds, and thousands, you're going to see in chapter 4. I think you guys will be pretty strong at that. You've worked on that a little bit in chapter 3. Okay. You know what? I might as well show you another version of how you might see. You might also see, again, sneak back at you, which you've seen before. But what if you see an example like 5 and 31 hundredths times 10 to the 0. Uh-oh. Remember that 10 to the 0? So 10 to the 0 actually is the same value as, do you remember? 1. So it's really 5 and 31 hundredths times 1. Same old 5 and 31 hundredths, right? So you might see that on your pretest as well. Okay, and then the last example I want to show you is well, I'm going to show you a quick estimating. Whenever you see estimating for multiplying, okay, estimating, that's going to be a pretty basic concept and it's really important to do to estimate because multiplying decimals gets pretty tricky. Estimate first, and then will help you see if your problem's anywhere near your final answer is actually correct or not. If you had to estimate 3 and 9/10 times 5 and 3/10, you want to just actually round to the nearest whole. Okay, so let's write um, round to the nearest whole number. Okay, so 3 and 9/10. If I want to round that to the nearest whole, I'm going to go, all right, there's 3. Look to the right. That's 5 or more. That's a 9. So that means bump this 3 up, right? So I'm going to go 4 times, and then what's this guy? The whole number is 5. Look to the right. It's a 3. So that's 4 or less. Let the 5 rest. So leave it a 5. What is 4 times 5? It's 20. That's important for when I show you how to multiply 3 and 9/10 times 5.3 with decimals. Watch how tricky it can be. Ready? So estimating notes, but let's take that over. And since I used a marker because I'm trying to show, I'm going to go ahead and just use this next page here. So last part of your notes is going to be actually multiplying using the standard algorithm. With the standard algorithm. All right. So multiplying the standard algorithm, so let's do the same example. Of course, if you see the problem starting off like with this 3 and 9/10 times 5 and 3/10. Well, first you need to rewrite it vertically. All right. So don't be lazy. Make sure that you rewrite it. And what's interesting here vertically is it's not as crucial that you line up the decimals like it is when we add or subtract, but it lines up great anyway, so this one works. So what we do first is we're going to go ahead, just like you're going to multiply like there aren't any decimals in it, okay? So just at first you pretend like it's 39 times 53. So of course we start with the 3 and we multiply up 3 times 9, then 3 times 3. Okay, so no decimals yet. So 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11. Then we come on down and we don't forget our place value 0, right? Okay. And now we're not going to multiply by 3. Now we're going to multiply by the 5. So we'll go 5 times 9 first, then we'll do 5 times 3. Okay? So 5 times 9 is 45. And then 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19. And then you add them together. Okay? So everything's feeling the same like we learned in chapter, I think it was 1. Okay. Now remember when we estimated 3 and 9/10 times 5 and 3/10? Remember our estimation? Our estimation was what? Our estimation was 20, right? So my answer down here is 2067. What? That's nowhere close to 20, right? So now let me show you how to do the decimal part. So what you do with the decimals is you look at how many, you come back up to the factors and you look, okay, this has a decimal. How many numbers are after to the right of the decimal? There's 1. Then come down to the other factor. How many numbers are to the right of the decimal? There's another one. There's 1. So 1 and 1. So that you have to add those up. Okay, so there's 1 place here plus 1, and there's 1 here. 1, 2. So 2. So you come down to your final product. You start on the right, and you need to come in 2 spots. 1, 2. That's where you place your decimal. So our final answer is 20 and 67 hundredths. Is that close to our estimation of 20? Yes, we did it. So estimation, huge, huge, huge in this chapter. So this is chapter 4, unit 2, all on multiplication. And those are some great notes for your notebook to help you and help you get in the zone to launch off this new chapter of multiplying. Make sure you get all these notes down. You can rewind and rewatch as much as you need to, and then you can show your teachers next week that you have them done. Thank you for watching all the way through.